Okay, here's my shoulder pad, right? I start with it upside down. I fold it in half so I can find my shoulder notch. I'm going to line the shoulder pad up. One. With the seam. Actually, with the seam allowance. You want to make sure it's all the way out to the edge of the seam allowance. And I'm going to pin it on upside down. And I'm going to pin it to my seam allowance at the shoulder line. Right? Then I'm going to tack this to my seam allowance. So my shoulder pad is in upside down. Take the jacket off. Turn it to the right side. And the shoulder pad is placed. Okay? Now, one of the drawbacks of this is that when you're putting your shoulder pad in, what's important is that the pad extends all the way out to the edge of the seam allowance. When we put a sleeve in a jacket, we leave the seam allowance in. It helps to support the shoulder and the top of the sleeve. So when I do it this way, you'll notice my shoulder pad is sort of tucking into the body of the coat. So the method I prefer to use, I start with this one because it's sort of magic. Look, you put the shoulder pad in upside down and you turn it around and it's the right side. Yeah, right, Jared. Okay, so I have my jacket on my form. And I put the shoulder pad in. And again, I'm matching up that shoulder point.
Is it pinned? Is it pinned to the seam allowance?
No, I pulled it out. And I actually pull the shoulder pad out so that from the front of my arm side to the back of my arm side, the shoulder pad is coming all the way out to the edge of my seam allowance. I'm going to pin this in down the shoulder line again so that it's controlled.
Past the seam allowance or to the seam allowance? It's past, right?
I brought it past the seam line because I want to make sure that the pad is in that seam all the way around from point to point. Once I've got that in place, I'll start to anchor the shoulder pad in. When I'm done, I will simply trim off the excess shoulder pad. You don't need to worry about losing that because this depth is going to stay the same all the way through. Okay, so we're going to anchor the shoulder pad in. And again, if you look at different tailoring books, they're going to tell you different ways of doing this. Sometimes you will see them putting the shoulder pad actually between the surface fabric and the canvas. Personally, I prefer to use the canvas as a buffer. We keep adding more layers and more seam lines and more seam allowance edges. I would rather keep those on the inside of the jacket where it has padding between that and my top surface, especially if I'm working with a thinner fabric. So I want to keep that top surface as clean as possible. So my lining is free on the inside and pulled down so it's out of the way. I'm going to find the edge of my shoulder pad and start pinning from the front, right along the edge, only in the front.
Can you turn around this way for a second, please? So that was it.
Okay, see where I'm pinned?
Okay.
That's through to the pad on the inside. I'm caught at the shoulder. My back right now is still free. Take the jacket off, turn it to the inside, and I'm going to make sure my lining is not caught. Good. And I'm going to diagonally baste my shoulder pad from the front point up to the shoulder, only catching the canvas. Okay? We are melding the shoulder pad as part of our canvas now.
That's the front.
Yes, on the front. I'm going to catch the shoulder pad. My canvas is coming back over my seam allowance. So at the shoulder line, I'm going to catch the shoulder pad to the seam allowance right at the stitch line. Okay? Now my shoulder pad is anchored in place. The back remains free. The back will be caught into place when we do the sleeve. All right? So that is our shoulder pad. Now at this point you would start to finish your lining. Again, turning the jacket wrong side out. Bring this down and just pin it so it's behaving itself. Bring my back lining up.
But we already basted that in. Are we taking that basting out?
Did you baste your shoulder in?
No, we basted the back.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just make sure it's out of the way enough to get the shoulder pad
Oh,
in.
so we have to take that out.
If the shoulder is open, it will be.
Oh,
Our
okay.
shoulders are
Okay.
Got it, yeah.
So you're going to bring this up. And cross stitch the back lining onto the shoulder pad, right? Then you bring your front up over that and turn the lining back to finish it. Now when you do this, because you have the shoulder pad inside here, the lining is going to feel like it's a little short. Yes,
How do we finish the lining?
you'll
seam?
slip stitch it.
Okay.
But the thing is, when you're setting this, you're going to find that your lining feels like your seam allowance is really little. The reason for that is you're now going over the shoulder pad. Before that, you weren't. You may discover in the jackets that you took apart that they have compensated for that in cutting the lining, that lining would be a little bit longer. Okay? So the idea is just to bring this up, turn it under, pin it in place,
Would you ever
and
make
slip
it
stitch.
longer?
Hmm?
Would you ever make the front longer on purpose?
You can,
Okay.
but this isn't exactly an alteration point.
Okay.
So, if that seam allowance is a little smaller, it doesn't matter. Yes, Joe?
Do you think that's like with my lining? It had like the vent in it.
That pleat?
Yeah. Do you
Mhm.
think that could have? Or yeah, the pleat. Sorry, that could have been because it was too long.
No, you know what that pleat's for?
What?
I researched that pleat.
Okay.
Okay, we talked about ease and linings, okay,
So there's
and
a, like,
stress
show-
points. So in the back, that's a stress point, so you put ease in the lining so that the lining doesn't tear out. Men carry a lot of things in their breast pocket. So this pleat, which is controlled into the seams here and here, is actually to alleviate the stress
Okay.
of all the crap you're carrying in your breast pocket,
That makes sense.
right?
Alright.
Particularly since our crap has gotten a little heavier with time.
Yeah.
Like cell phones and things like that.
I was thinking that it had something to do with movement.
Yeah, well, it is amazing that all those things actually, somebody thought about it. And they put it in for a specific reason,
Yeah.
so. Okay, so we have our shoulder done.